I am super excited. So this is a new thing that I've taken on along with my classes is to learn programming. And in learning programming, I'm learning codes. So this is going to be a code for creating a monthly budget. This one is with tithing. So the goal is to have a budget with inputs with some math involved. And so I have tithing for my church in here. So to give you an idea for those who don't know anything about coding, I'm creating some code here where it's going to ask the user a question and then they put in an answer, and from their answer it's going to print out a budget. And then like for the tithing, I have it entered for 10%, so it'll take that 10% out of my monthly money. So if there was a different percent, you could just change that to a different percent or change it from tithing to something else. And then it will calculate for the year and all the other calculations I want. And it'll ask different questions, and from those questions, it will then hopefully print out a beautiful budget, which is what we're here to see if it's going to do what I want it to do. So let's click run and see what happens. Well, it got the first question, how much money you earned this month? So I can put a real amount, a fake amount. If I want to see how something is affecting my budget, because this is not a full budget like using Quicken, this is only a 6-item budget, so it's only going to calculate from 6 items. So for here, I'm going to pretend I'm making a lot of money, and I'm going to say 8,600 to help me live comfortably in California versus struggling in California. And if I'm making that much money, let's say for fast offering, which would be money for people or food for people who don't have much money to cover their food. So to help people, let's just put 150 in. And now we're into entering the budget. So if I'm making that much money, instead of renting, maybe I own a home. So I'll put in a mortgage, and I've never had a mortgage, so I may be way off with the amount I put here, but let's say my mortgage is $38.56 and 22 cents. And I'm putting cents in for a reason. I'll explain that when the budget prints out, if it prints out the way it's supposed to. Let's put in pizza. If I'm making that kind of money, maybe we do pizza once a month. Now, if I make a lot of money and want to do fancy pizza, let's say I'm going to Mountain Mike's, getting gluten-free, large pizzas for everyone. So that's about $85, and that's times about 4.5 weeks in the month to figure out a monthly budget. So $382.50. So here we got some cents in here. So let's put $382.50. And then let's make something that's a 2-word item, and I'll explain that when it prints out as well. Let's say Play-Doh, that's 2 words. Let's say I want to buy Play-Doh for my kids every month and spend $52.63 on Play-Doh every month. And then let's do water. We like to get filtered water from Winco, and maybe I'm trying to compare what I pay versus what it would cost to have water delivered. And so what I pay for water is 35 cents times 15 gallons. Let's say that's weekly times 4.5 again. So let's say that's $23.63 is what I spend a month on average for water. And then I can compare this to maybe a delivery service or something. Let's say I want a book budget because I like to read. And let's say I have a $45, well, I don't know. Let's say we have a $48 book budget. Let me get some books. And then we can do date night. That's another 2-word item that I'll explain if it prints out properly. And for date night, I'd say about $20 plus babysitting, add in another $20, and then let's just say $50 a month to cover date night. But maybe some months aren't going to cost that much, and some months might cost more, depending on what we're doing or how much the babysitter is. Maybe we got a free babysitter, so then we don't need the full 50. We'll see. Oh, look at that. It's gorgeous. Look at those beautiful columns. Now to make those columns, I have these parts of the code here. Let's see, there we go. Highlight these parts. So that tells me how many spaces will come after. So there's all those spaces right there. And I added extra spaces because these were coming in to my longer 2-word items. And even this, mortgage is a longer word than rent. And so when I tested this before, I didn't have this long word. But for these longer words, there's still extra space. So that everything's in beautiful columns and it's figured out the math. Here's what I'd make the month, here's what I'd make for the year, here's what it would cost, and see how I put these cents in. It's called floats. When you add floats, it will then put the room for the 2 decimal places. So here, when it figures it out, it includes the cents and not just the dollar amounts. Which is super gorgeous. And then it says this is how much you have left over at the month. This is how much you have left over at the year. So if you want to change something in your budget, you totally can. It also gives you a good overview. So if you're like, holy cow, $4,500 a year on pizza, that's a lot of money. Maybe we need to reevaluate that. Or $283 a month, 50 or a year for water. What does it cost for Alhambra or someone else who's delivering? I don't know who else does delivery. Nestle, I think. And then, yeah, Play-Doh. Maybe we don't need $600 worth of Play-Doh. Or maybe I changed that category from Play-Doh to toys or something. So it gives me all of that. And I have a beautiful budget. I just had to share how excited I am because I absolutely am loving this. It's boring for some people, but any of my family and friends who are into coding, you can now see what I am able to do, and I'm not even halfway done with my class yet. Hooray for coding!